Hello, and welcome back to Absurd Arguments, a podcast where two friends talk about things in an argumentative
Wait a
fashion.
sec.
Wait, what?
I was just going to say, to show these people that we're so argumentative, I was going to disagree and say we're not friends and we don't have a podcast together.
Okay, first thing off, my name is Matthew, and this is my good friend Nathan. If we weren't friends, we wouldn't be doing a podcast.
No.
And if we weren't doing a podcast, what are we doing right now?
I think we're just on a video call.
A video call where we can't see each other. All we see are the waveforms of what we're saying and nothing else. And I've got my name up here, Jerry Woodward, and you've got your name, Valentine's.
Yeah, I think it's just recorded for posterity and like as a witness in case one of us says something untoward to the other.
That happened last episode.
Look, we said a lot of things.
Multiple episodes.
Yeah, you're probably right. I just, our intros are always so friendly with one another, and I just wanted to start it off with an argument right off the bat. Get the people in the mood.
Cool. Well, I hate you too.
No, get too far. like we're not sworn enemies, we could be like acquaintances.
All right, fine. Then I'm going to distance myself from you. Is that better?
That's the emotionally distancing yourself. I kind of wish you would just hate me at this point.
Oh my God.
That shows you care more, at least. Look, it's like they say, the opposite of love is indifference,
It's true.
It's not even hatred, because that means you care still.
You care that something happens to you.
Speaking of caring, folks, last week I shared something I cared about with Matthew, and he got a glimpse into my musical tastes, which I considered quite normal, but he's I don't know. I'll tell you about it. I've been listening to this guy, this American composer named Steve Reich, but it's spelled like Reich, and he just has some interesting music. And so there was this 16-minute long song I listened to called Music for Mallets, Instruments, Voices, and Organ. And it's just like a wall of sound that envelops you. And it takes such a strong will to make it through this song. But it's like a bunch of tiny little hammers and bells going off in your head when you listen to it. And so I shared that with Matthew. And Matthew, what did you think of that experience?
3 out of 10. That song freaking blows. It's just garbage. It's just like there are parts of it. Like I've been in music for well over 15 years now, doing random things in high school, and now at my church I do different music things, and so I like to think that I have a good palate for musical taste, and this song was nothing but random mallet hits and then different rhythms and then the bells of the little glockenspiel and all that other stuff. It's just like dinging at random spots. And there are parts of it where, there are parts of it where the song is beautiful, like where it goes between one, it does a it changes chords, and it's a very beautiful change. But then that change stays that way for the next I kid you not, 3 minutes of the same exact repeating pattern. And it's just like when Nathan said it takes an iron will, it doesn't take an iron will. It takes someone who goes, I have literally nothing better to do with my life than listening to this garbage song.
Look. Matthew, the thing is, maybe he just wasn't in the right vibe. It's really a vibe type thing. So
I was in a car. I
oh
was
no.
driving home. I don't know
Okay.
what kind of vibe I needed to be other than you would probably have to be under the influence to enjoy that song.
Okay, I wasn't before anyone excuses me, but I just think you should just sit in a big old comfy chair or like outside in nature and then just sit in and absorb it because it's like waves of just sound crashing over you and it's amazing.
No, there are much better songs to listen to that actually, will get an emotion out of you that isn't just like, why the heck am I still listening to this stupid song? I
Yeah.
mean, you talk about going out in nature, a you have a symphony that is literally named The Four Seasons that you can go outside and listen to in whatever season you're in and just be engrossed in the music. And then you have the other symphony that's called The Planets, and that one is an amazing piece. Mars and Jupiter are some of my favorite classical pieces, where that music just like envelops you in just raw emotion. Those songs are good. This one that you sent me is not.
Well, see, to be fair, the music for mallet instruments, voices, and organ is not my favorite Steve Reich song. I really love his electric counterpoint, which is just also probably really repetitive, but it's just a bunch of guitars and it's tonally just beautiful. And then he's real famous for his music for 18 musicians, which would probably be repetitive. He has a cool one about World War II. I told you about that,
Yep.
where like he uses like actual train sound effects and stuff, and it's what look. The thing is, I had to dig deep a little deeper into this guy I listened to, and I discovered he's an avant-garde composer.
That
So
is a very nice way to put it.
I mean, he's had a huge influence on like music since like the 60s and 70s when he came on the scene. But yeah, I didn't think he was that not mainstream.
Oh, no, it's just because it's just the same pattern over and over and over again. It's like
It's
trance
so
music,
beautiful.
but the trance music actually kind of goes somewhere. This one put you right back at the start, and then again and again and again and again, and it just got to the point where I was like, I'd rather listen to almost anything else. And it got to that point to where I was like, no, I guess I don't have an iron will because this song sucks.
It's
3
so
out of
beautiful.
10. It's got some really nice musical moments, but it is overwhelmingly bad.
So what I decided to do, okay, I did I didn't think Matthew would respond so strongly to that song, and I was like, Matthew is like in my mind a duke of normal people, not the king of normal people, but he's like a duke. And I was like, if Matthew didn't like this song, then maybe I can spin this. And so I was working with some of my students at the school the other day, and I brought up Steve Reich to one of the students, and I challenged him to take the Steve Reich music for mallet instruments and
This is the
voices and
worst
organ
TikTok challenge
challenge.
I've ever heard of.
It's such a lengthy challenge, but I was like, take the challenge, listen to it for 16 minutes, see if you have an iron will to make it through. And he said he would do it.
Well,
but
did he?
I don't know. I mean, he did, and he doesn't talk to me anymore. Never brought it up again. So yeah,
Nathan, that should tell you something.
we should get this challenge off the ground, Matthew.
This
It's
is the
gonna be big.
worst TikTok. I don't think a TikTok lasts 16 minutes. I doubt it even.
This
I don't know if I've seen one that's at least like 10 minutes. Like
this
maybe
is our
5 minutes, but
this this is our viral moment, Matthew.
this is the worst possible way to try to go viral.
No, I think it's great because it'll force people to be still for 16 minutes listening to music for mallet instruments, voices, and organ by Steve Reich.
In this economy,
See, I think people's attention spans are shot. I think that's the real reason you didn't like music for mallet instruments, voices, and organ by Steve Reich is because it's so long. I think
dude,
if it,
I was driving. What else was I going to do?
I mean, I just think your attention span is shot, dude.
I
That's
was
why.
driving. I had to pay attention to driving so I wouldn't die listening to the worst song in the world.
No, I think back in the old days, people would really enjoy this song because they had time on their hands. But nowadays, in the hustle and bustle of modern life, we just don't have the time to fully enjoy beautiful music.
Dude, we
No?
are literally sitting and recording a podcast because we don't have anything else going on at this current moment.
And I'll be honest with you, I would prefer to be sitting down somewhere listening to music for mallet instruments, voices, and organ by Steve Reich, which
You
is the name
are
of my new challenge.
you are mentally insane.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to diagnose and dunk on Nathan's bad taste in music that's quote unquote avant-garde, but we are going to talk about something that is a pressing matter, and that is
Right.
the United States presidency.
Presidency matter.
Mm. Now, you might be thinking, why are you tackling such a like a real topic? And I just want to say, no, listener. You think we're going to do something that actually means something in this world? Of course not. What we're going to do is we are going to discuss which president, both current and former, would be the best at fill in the blank.
Right, yeah. So we were like, if we just brought him to the modern day and we told him, we sat him down and we said, you can't be president. What job, what task, what hobby would they have instead? You know, that's what what would be their vibe in the modern day? And so that's what we thought about.
Yes, and so we are still going off the rails and not using our normal formats of research. And so our research comes from an eclectic bunch of resources and our own kind of deep dive into this psychiatry, the brains, psychology of these, the presidents that some are not living anymore, unfortunately, and some are still living, unfortunately.
And some of them live on in our hearts.
Absolutely, and the history books and the websites that we read. But without getting too sentimental,
and the Rockets' red glare.
So without getting too sentimental, let us go ahead and cue the fanfare. The first thing we want to posit to you is the fact that, there are some things, as Nathan said, that are modern things. And some of these presidents didn't really have this, but I want to start off something that has really existed almost throughout time. And it is the art of illusionary magic. And so
Yes.
I want to think of who is the best at doing magic tricks.
Ooh,
And
good one.
my candidate is President Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, Teddy
I
Roosevelt.
think there are two reasons. Number one,
Okay.
Teddy Roosevelt was shot while giving a speech, and then he finished giving the speech as if nothing had happened. And so he made the bullet disappear in his body, but it disappeared.
It was there.
And then the second thing is a he has a quote that says that we need to talk softly and carry a big stick.
Mm-hmm.
But where does he keep the stick?
Up his.
That is not magic.
Matthew.
That is not magic. But you I mean, he says talk softly and carry a big stick. He got it like, hidden up his sleeve. You could do that, or he like actually practices like witchcraft and wizardry, and he just puts his hands together and slowly pulls them apart, and there's his big stick that he carries with him.
What if, because like in the Harry Potter books, Harry Potter learned that spell where you could summon your broom and it would come zooming at you. Like, what if he knew a spell like that?
Oh, very interesting. Yes.
Like maybe
Accio big stick.
like the stick was kept at like his big old ranch in the Dakota Badlands. And so he'd be like, come to me, big stick. And it would just zoom at hundreds of miles per hour, and arrive
killing
wherever he
hundreds as it went to his side.
It was a sacrifice he was willing to make.
Yes. So that is who I think would be the best, who would do the best magic tricks would be Teddy Roosevelt.
He's so inspirational. I'm going to push back a bit, though. I think
All right.
there's somebody better.
Okay.
All right. Now, I don't know about you, Matthew, but we don't really know our answers ahead of time, really. So I have all the presidents pulled up, and I'm looking at them. I'm looking at them right now.
Okay.
And Martin Van Buren. All right. Look at those sideburns. Like when I think of a magician, I think they have to have some crazy appearance, right? And what crazier appearance is there than huge, massive Wolverine-style sideburns?
They're called mutton chops. Thank you.
They're beautiful, And so I don't know anything else about him other than he was president right after Andrew Jackson, who everybody probably knows. But gosh, he's so cool.
Hold on. Let's just look at Wikipedia. And I read a little bit about him. And let's see here.
He was the first president to be born as a citizen of the United States.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Okay. Ooh. Oh, this is so cool. Okay. So Martin Van Buren, his nickname, his opponents, because the stock market crashed, they called him Martin Van Ruin. And that's a really cool magician name, I think. It's like, hello, I'm Martin Van Ruin.
Man.
I'd watch that show. Crazy.
I think you're wrong. I think it's Teddy Roosevelt. But anyways, what do you have?
Well, see, this is awkward, Matthew, because I don't think Teddy Roosevelt would be the best magician,
Okay.
I think he would be the best TikTok star. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I think he'd be the best TikTok star.
Why would you say that?
Okay, so let's recount a couple of moments. Okay, you mentioned one of them, the assassination attempt on his life. All right. Okay, he gets shot and continues his speech. Like, I could see him getting shot and then pulling up his phone right after and go and like doing like a selfie video with the guy and being like, "Look at this idiot trying to assassinate me." And then he
Oh
like
my god.
still do his speech anyway, you know? Or okay, all right. So are you familiar with teddy bears, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I could see him being like one of those environmental TikTok stars because the reason we came up with teddy bears, okay, legend has it that he went hunting with some people, and they at the end of this trip they had reports differ. They either had like a baby, like a cub,
Mm-hmm.
tied to a tree, or an old bear tied to a tree, and they said, "Theodore Roosevelt, would you like to kill this bear?" And
Oh,
he
oh my god.
refused. Yeah, he refused because he was like, this isn't sporting, dude. Like, it's tied to a tree. This isn't fair." So he had someone else shoot it. So I think he'd be like, "Look at me and this bear. Look at this poor bear tied to a tree. Can't believe they want
Mm,
me to shoot it while it's tied to a tree." You know?
dude.
And see, he'd already have his merch as the teddy bear. Like, anybody with a social media presence, a video presence online, has a merch line, right?
Sort of, yeah. We don't, but granted, we don't have that big of a
Yet
presence yet.
we need merch, Matthew. Just like Teddy Roosevelt had his merch. He had a bear, a stuffed bear named after him, dude. We should have that.
Man,
A Nathan. What? Okay, I would have a Nathan Gecko stuffed animal. That would be mine.
you can't. That's Geico.
Okay, a Nathan Cobra. A Nathan stuffed cobra.
A stuffed cobra.
Yeah, it'd be adorable. You could wrap it around yourself before you go to bed.
Yeah, that's
Great.
definitely going to put people to sleep.
Yeah. Um,
Well,
Matthew,
I want to push back a little bit.
okay, that's fair.
I
Who do you
don't
think
think
would
Teddy
be a better?
Roosevelt. I think there already is a current TikTok star.
No, no.
It happens to be none other than President Joe Biden.
Oh,
Have you
we're
seen the mini edits of his speeches?
yeah, I have.
They're so good because Joe Biden, he's up there in age,
Yeah.
and it's just sometimes he loses track of things and he says some really wild things, and it is all over social media. And so I think there already is a TikTok star, and his name is President Joe Biden.
You know, I feel bad for Joe Biden. You know, I think it's like it'd be like if my grandpa was president of the United States. You know, and I can't handle it, Matthew. I think I've told you this. I've told you this before, but like, I'll call my grandpa every now and then,
Mm-hmm.
and for about I don't know, the last 3 or 4 months, every conversation eventually leads to the star quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs, state champs this year. And it always leads to the quarterback Stetson Bennett, and because my grandpa goes, "Nathan," he's like, Stetson Bennett, his last name is my last name, and his first name, Stetson, that's where I went to college, Nathan. And so every time I have to pretend to be surprised, like, "Oh wow, Grandpa, that's amazing." And my grandpa's just like, "What does it mean?" I was like, "I don't know, Papa. I just don't know."
It means he's going to get drafted to a very bad football team and become irrelevant.
Hey,
And the only
no.
person keeping Stetson Bennett's memory alive is your grandfather.
Oh no. How many years left will Stetson Bennett's memory be alive? Look, all I'm saying, all I'm saying is it's like somebody was like, what if we put this random old grandpa as president? You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's how that's it's just unfortunate, I think. So I
Yeah.
feel bad for him in that way,
Yeah.
you know?
I feel
So
nothing.
uh, I know. You're you're a ginger. That's normal for your species.
Indeed, indeed. So, my next one is who sort of similar along the lines of what you said. Is I who would be the best video game streamer?
Okay.
I think this is a very simple answer. There are
Okay.
many of them that could do it for the reasons I'm going to give, but I think I have to give this one to President Donald Trump
Ah,
because
yes.
because Donald Trump is always in some controversy,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
there
that's a good
are
point.
there are so many streamers in video game streamers that are in some sort of controversy. And so I think
Yeah.
Donald Trump would fit right in with that. You also have you have former presidents like Ulysses S. Grant, who was also covered in controversy. And then you've got the
Right.
big one, Richard Nixon, who was did that whole thing. And so there's so many presidents that are surrounded in controversy, but I don't know if I know of any president, current or former, that has had a such a string of controversy after controversy after controversy for things that he said than Donald
Well,
Trump.
honestly, I'm shocked that you just didn't go for the most obvious thing about Donald Trump, which is him being able to say, who would be the best streamer? I am the best streamer. You know, I could I could see him saying it. He would be playing Call of Duty or whatever, and he'd get like 25 kills and be like, "I'm the best in this game," something like that.
Mm. Yeah,
So
but the big reason is just the controversy that surrounds video game streamers and then professional video game players. There's just so much controversy to where it just goes to show you that just be a casual, just be a
I
just be a casual, and you won't get any controversy.
Matthew, I think you're focusing on the negatives. I think he could have a wholesome streaming channel of like him and Baron, you know? Like they're playing Fortnite together, you know? They
Son, John Wick is coming up the hill. Watch out for Naruto.
Don't worry, Dad, I got Rick and Morty on the ropes.
Then they switch to
Um
Counter Strike. Baron, be sure to push A. I planted the bomb.
Dad, Papa, they're using war axe. It's impossible.
Be sure to report them whenever they kill you.
Of course, Papa. I would imagine Baron says Papa instead of Dad.
Hello, YouTube, and welcome to my Minecraft realm. I've been
Okay.
grinding for diamonds for the last 12 hours, and this is the stacks that I've gotten. No, now I want this to happen. No,
Yeah,
no.
hey, if Donald Trump is listening, I refuse to vote for him in another term unless he has a video game streaming video.
He has a weekly stream where he talks about the state of the country, and then he goes over and like, so yeah, I prestige for the
That's
fourth time in Call of Duty this week.
that is genius. Okay, do you remember back like a few years ago in the 2010s when there were so many commentary videos where they would be playing like the CS:GO surfing
Oh
game or
my
whatever,
gosh, yeah.
and they would talk about stuff. Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, if a president did that, he would be the greatest.
That
He'd
would
be like,
be the most toxic comment slash
oh,
chat that I have ever seen.
it would be
And
perfect
there would
though.
be so many people that would be getting swatted because because they're making death threats to the president, which is a huge felony.
But
Oh
see,
my
the thing
gosh.
the thing is, I just think it would be perfect because it's like, okay, here I am listening to the State of the Union, boring, nothing to look at. Oh, cool. No, there's gameplay footage. He's playing. Oh, cool. I'm able to watch him and distract myself. Uh, there's only one president I can think of that would be a better video game streamer, and
Hmm.
that's because he was legitimate actor Ronald Reagan.
Mm,
You
see,
know,
that was my second go-to, but there's just the personality of Donald Trump is like the streamer personality, a very
it
big,
is.
loud, in your face,
But
and it
see,
can be entertaining to watch, but then it's also can be very hard to
hey,
watch.
but good old Ronnie Ray would be his name, okay? But good old Ronnie Ray, in Minecraft, he'd have that time where he'd be like, tear down this Minecraft wall, you know? Like, he'd be perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
We got to
well,
keep going. We can't
we,
hang
we
around
do.
Donald Trump the streamer too long or else
I
we're
know
going to
he's
get
so
lost in a
perfect.
rabbit hole.
I have one. Who would be the best used car salesman?
Used car salesman. Wow, we
Yeah.
went from TikTok star to video game streamer to used car salesman.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I have the best used car salesman would be William Howard Taft
Interesting. Why would you say that?
because he's overweight.
Oh, no. What does that have to do with anything?
It's the common trope of the used car salesman. You got to be a larger guy. You got to be able to barely squeeze yourself into the Miata that you're showing off to the client. You know, that's the key, and that's William Howard Taft.
No,
You know,
I
uh-huh.
don't see it. I don't see it.
I see it. Oh, I see it. He's got the mustache. He's got the greasy. No, it's not greasy. It's beautiful,
It
but
is it is
he's
gorgeous.
he's got it, man. I think he'd be great at it. You know.
Looking at this list of presidents, I just
Uh
by the
huh.
look alone, I would say the best used car salesman would definitely be Herbert Hoover.
Mm, yeah. I mean,
He's got that sleaze bag look to him, which I don't know the guy.
yeah.
I just know his name, but he's got that look
Right.
to him where you walk up to him and he tries to sound like he's your best friend, and that's just like an immediate like, what are you doing? That's the kind of look that he has. That he comes up to you, he's like, hey buddy, how you doing today? You finding everything all right? And he's just like, does a lot of hand motions that don't really fit what he's trying to say.
Yeah. I don't see it, man. I don't see it. I'm just. Here's the thing. Okay,
Mm,
with William Howard Taft, I mostly it's he's just a big guy, and I want him to be a used car salesman so bad in
gosh,
my fan fiction universe where William Howard Taft is a used car salesman, mostly because I think it would be really funny if like he knew I would say that. Um, because like he was president, but he was also a Supreme Court Chief Justice. No other president has done that. In fact, he loved being a Supreme Court justice so much. He loved that way more that when he was like that, he said, "I don't even care that I was president." You know?
dang.
So he was into both jobs. But the big reason is I think William Howard Taft was the first one to have a car, like the first president to own a car, you know?
Interesting.
Yeah, so he had his own official car. And I don't know, man. I just want it to happen.
Yeah, well, again, my vote is Herbert Hoover. Um,
He
I
would
don't
do
see it.
great. Herbert Hoover would be a good vacuum salesman
Oh no, not again.
because they suck.
Oh my god.
Anyway, you
All
got
right,
another
so
one, Matthew?
yeah, I've got sort of a double whammy sort of thing,
Ah,
and so I want to look at two things. Number one, who would be the best president as a cook, and then who would be the best
hmm.
president to judge a chili cook-off. Now, at the time of recording, just this past Sunday was the Super Bowl. And
Yeah.
my church had a soup and chili cook-off. And that got me thinking, which president would be good at that? And so I think the winner would be President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Because
Oh.
according to thetastingtable.com, Dwight Eisenhower may have been a military hero prior to his presidency, but one lesser known fact about him is that he also liked to cook. Among his specialties was beef stew made with tomato-based broth and a pinch of cayenne pepper. In the lead up to the 1956 election, the president's kitchen cabinet tells us that President Eisenhower made his stew recipe available to his supporters. The intent behind
Oh.
this was to have them serve it up to their neighbors while convincing them to vote for the man who created it. So
Hmm.
if Dwight Eisenhower can make a good beef stew, I think he can make a good chili. And I think, of course, the man who would be the best judge of the chili cook-off would be none other than President William Howard Taft. Because, I mean,
because he was fat. Matthew, imagine being one of the most successful presidents of all time and then having two goofballs just mock you relentlessly. Or William Howard Taft. We really got to be more respectful.
that was the thing. Like when I was looking at the Wikipedia article, it talked about how he was like well respected, but there's one quote: Taft, more quietly than his predecessor, Teddy Roosevelt, filed many more cases than did Roosevelt. Rejected his predecessor's contention that there was such thing as a good trust. This lack of flair marred Taft's presidency, which made him boring.
Oh. Well, see, and we're dancing around the biggest thing about him, other than his weight. No, we're dancing around the biggest thing is that he got stuck in the bathtub, dude.
That is actually not a true story. I also came across that and I double checked it. That is not a true story.
Bro, I refuse to believe it's not. I'm going to push back. Look, man, Matthew, it's all he had that was interesting about him. Don't take the one story about William Howard Taft that made him not boring and take that away. We can't.
Now. There is a part where he actually hired one of the best. Let's see where to go.
I mean, the story also says that after he got stuck in the bathtub and the 6 aides had to get him out, he did construct a huge bathtub that could fit 4 men in it, which is kind of...
Well, in response to that, his weight obviously was a difficult thing. Taft followed a weight loss program and hired the British doctor N.E. York Davies as a dietary advisor. The two men corresponded regularly for over 20 years, and Taft kept a daily record of his weight, food intake, and physical activity. And so the man got his life together towards the end of it, but he was like, I can't continue to be this overweight man. But let me tell you, there ain't no way that man did not enjoy a good bowl of chili. And there probably isn't any president that was a better cook whose favorite food was a beef stew that he gave out. There was no president that could have cooked a better pot of chili than Dwight Eisenhower.
Dude, I want what you just said to now be the association. When people think of Dwight D. Eisenhower, I want them to also think of William Howard Taft and vice versa, because they belong together. I endorse this. I endorse this, Matthew. Good job.
Thank you. I appreciate your cooperation.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry for not having an argument against that, but you gave great reasons.
Thank you. My reason for one of them was he was fat.
We're just a bunch of bullies, Matthew. And I'm a big guy. who am I to judge William Howard Taft? I'm sorry, Willie H.
Hey,
I'm
he's doing
sorry.
better because he kept track of what he ate, his physical activity, and his weight daily. Are
He
you
was a
doing
good
that?
journaler. Hey,
Yeah.
let's continue our.
I
Let's
think
let's
I think
let's
President
cut that out.
Taft is a role model for big people.
Yeah, he is. He's a good inspiration for us big guys. He tells us that us big guys can become president too, and I like that. Thanks, Willie. Thanks, William. Uh, okay. You know what president came before William Howard Taft?
Yes, it was Teddy Roosevelt.
Guess who is the next award winner of my thing? I think Theodore Roosevelt would be, if he was around today, I think he would own his own pinata business.
Now, what in the world would make you
Because of
think that? Is it
you've
because
already
he tied the
mentioned.
bear up to the tree and he wouldn't do it?
No. It's because of the quote you already mentioned of "walk softly and carry a big stick." I think that would be the perfect tagline for his company.
I,
You
I
know,
think I think what we're slowly discovering is that if there was a death battle, a death match between all of the current and former U.S. presidents, Teddy Roosevelt would win unanimously.
maybe there are
He's
some
good.
other.
He's good at magic.
Yeah.
He owns a business, and so he knows good tactics of
Uh huh.
either getting people on his
Business
side,
tactics.
business tactics, obviously useful. I mean,
He has the
and
stick.
he's got the big stick.
He's got the big stick.
He knows how to ride a horse because he founded the national park, so he knows how to traverse any
Right.
kind of terrain. This man is too powerful.
He's pretty great. And I think he deserves all the rewards except for the chili cook off and cooking chili one. He doesn't deserve that one. That one was perfect. But the others, yeah, he could be a video game streamer for all I care. But he wouldn't. I don't think he would do that. He'd be like, "We need to be outside. What are we doing playing video games?"
Very true.
Unless he had a nature stream. He was like, "Okay,
Oh,
today, folks, I'm going to teach you how to chop firewood."
yeah, he's the streamer that walks around and does stuff outside and goes to different places.
Right.
Um, but he would only walk around national parks, and his streams would only be like 10 seconds because he would immediately lose signal.
Yeah, you're probably right. But anyway, I think he'd be great with this pinata company, um, you know, because that's how pinatas work. You have to sneak up on the pinata, you get your stick, and then you just violently murder it. You know?
Just like Not That Bear.
Exactly. He would never shoot a bear that was tied up. It
No.
has to be free. It has to be able to kill him.
Mm.
You know? But Matthew, do you have another award? A reward? I doubt any of these presidents would consider any of these a reward.
I don't know. I don't know. I think President Biden would be dope with a TikTok star and all that fame.
No,
Honestly, don't.
President Biden would just go, "So tell me more about this clock you gave me."
You call this a watch?
So a TikTok, so I watch the time or something. Like there's music and I lip sync to the alarms or something.
And while he's talking to you, his hands are constantly moving up and down with no real rhythm. And it's just kind of going with, whenever he raises his voice a little bit, his hands go up and then they go back down.
Perfect.
Um,
Yeah.
so I want to throw this at you. This is something that we kind of discussed a little bit beforehand. But the best president that will tuck you into bed at night, read you a bedtime story, and bring you a glass of water, I
Yeah.
think, is President Ronald Reagan.
Really?
I think so, because I watched some speeches of different presidents that were obviously recorded,
Oh.
so I couldn't do anything with the older presidents and some of the earlier presidents, I couldn't, they didn't have anything to record. So I looked up, the sound of their voice. And from all my research, the one that has just the most soothing voice that I think it's President Reagan.
Oh, really? You think him?
Mm-hmm. Because when he talks, he doesn't really speak with any hostility or aggression. It's a softer tone because I mean obviously he was a little older in his age when he was a president, like a lot of them are currently.
Yeah.
But this grandfatherly nature of his, of wanting to do what's best for the country and doing whatever he could, and I think the way he spoke with the cadence and the word usage, I think he would be the best because he'd tuck you in, give you a bedtime story, and that bedtime story would just knock you out. And then he'd leave, go get you a glass of water, put it on your nightstand so that when you got up needing water, it was already there because he was thinking about you. And I just think that President Reagan would be the best one to do that.
I disagree a bit.
Okay.
I think I don't know, man. I think if I had like a pillow fort, he would tell me to tear it down. You know, like he's the kind of guy.
Because it's time to go to bed. It's not time to build a pillow fort.
I want my pillow fort. It's cold. I want to be warm in my pillow fort.
Then he would go and fetch you another blanket.
Nah, I don't know, man. I'm not feeling it. I think, see, we haven't really touched on the true famous presidents yet, and we'll throw him a bone. I'm going to say Abraham Lincoln.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to say Abraham Lincoln. Just looking at him, he's got that fatherly vibe about him, you know. We know he did great with his speeches. I mean, everybody knows that one that goes like 7 years ago.
The Gettysburg Address.
Gosh, it's such a classic.
Gosh.
So he was obviously good at doing speeches and stuff, you know, and I think he would just do a fabulous job. He'd be able to tell you a little story, you know. I don't know. I think he'd be pretty fabulous.
I don't know. I think he'd be too busy at the theater.
Careful, Matthew. We're walking on hallowed ground here, buddy. We gotta be careful.
Indeed. We're dogging on U.S. presidents. You think we're gonna get away with almost any joke that we've made so far?
Maybe, I don't know, man. Who knows? It's a good thing we're not famous. We won't be canceled, maybe.
Yet.
I have one.
All right.
I was thinking to myself, which president, if he was alive today, would most likely go around saying, "Come at me, bro. Say that to my face, bro. Say that one. I bet you won't say that one more time, bro. Just say it. Say it to my face. Say it."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think Andrew Jackson would be that guy.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Right? He had
agree.
like some reports say he had maybe 100 duels, but it was at least dozens, you know? And like I read it was mostly because his wife, like people were jerks and would say stuff about his wife and he'd be like, "Bro, let's duel." You know? I could see it happening today, man. He would
What a shot. This man, you could talk about 100, but he survived dozens of duels. This man was the quickest draw in the 1800s.
He even dueled one guy who was known as the best duelist in Tennessee and got shot in the chest, and his bullet was there for the next 40 years.
Oh my God.
Like that's how hardcore he is. He's just got that angry dude bro energy of like, bro, come at me, bro.
But you also got to remember, even when he was a general, the War of 1812 finished, and he was still fighting.
I know, like they still had a fight afterwards.
Dude.
He was like, I don't care that the war's over. I'm going to kick your butt. And like, okay, so there was one time there was an assassination attempt on his life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was outside Capitol Hill or whatever. And the guy runs up and he has one gun and the gun jams and doesn't fire. So the killer is like, I prepared for this. I have a plan B. And so he pulls out a second pistol and it goes to fire and it also jams.
Oh my gosh.
It's also jammed. And then, you know what Andrew Jackson does?
What?
He beats the crud out of the guy with his cane until he's arrested.
I really wish he would have said, look, if you want a duel, you could have just asked.
Right. He's like, that's why he beat him up. He was like, you didn't duel me like a man, bro. You know?
Dang.
Gosh.
Dang.
He's so cool.
I don't really have a response to that one, but I do have something that pairs well with it.
Okay.
Like a good cheese and wine.
Ooh.
A good dude bro and just the coolest of bros.
Yeah.
Which president do you think would best crack a cold one with the boys at the White House?
Oh, man. Who would crack a cold one with the boys?
From my research, I think that it is President Thomas Jefferson, number 3, because hold on, let me pull it up. It's such a great quote. According to historian Merrill D. Peterson, in contrast to his predecessors, Thomas Jefferson exhibited a dislike of formal etiquette. Plainly dressed, he arrived alone to his inauguration and walked to the Capitol with his friends.
Aw, that's so cool.
So
what a dude.
Yeah, he's just a dude,
what a
man.
Bro.
And so he was like, this etiquette stuff, I am not a fan. Hey bros, you want to go walk to my inauguration? It was also one of the least attended, and so because not a lot of people liked him, and he did not care. So I would like to argue that he would probably be the one to crack a cold one with the boys at the White House because he just did not care about any etiquette. He went in and he did his job, but then he was like, dude, let's chill out for a second.
All right. So I've already mentioned this guy a million times this podcast, but he really is the best. I think Theodore Roosevelt would be a better one. I really do. Because when he became president, he renamed the White House to the White House, okay? Like it was just known as the mansion or something.
Mm-hmm.
Before he came on the scene. So he was like, here's the White House. And then like he wouldn't have normal parties. Like he would invite cowboys and writers and explorers and things like that, you know? And so I don't know. I think he was like really, hey, I'm here for the boys. I'm here for the bros. Let's just sit and chat and enjoy a cold one.
Well, I think he was influenced then by Thomas Jefferson because Thomas Jefferson preceded him by, 100+ years.
And you could be right. We'll never know the inner workings unless we read the autobiographies.
It's true. It's true.
And who have time for that?
Not us.
I barely have time to listen to a 16-minute song by Steve Reich called Music for Mallet Instruments, Voices, and Organ. I don't have enough time to read an autobiography by Theodore Roosevelt. To bring it full circle, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We're bringing this up for President's Day, all right? And President's Day, usually schools cancel that day in America. I don't know why they don't cancel school in other countries, but in America we do. We appreciate the presidents.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think to bring it full circle, which president would be the best school counselor? And just in case you thought it couldn't be done, it is indeed Theodore Roosevelt, baby.
Did you read about any other president?
I read about Theodore Roosevelt.
Gosh.
I read about the other ones, but Theodore Roosevelt is the best.
I told you
I
he's just too powerful.
He's so cool. Dude, you say that? When he was in president? No, wait. Maybe that was Andrew Jackson. No, Theodore Roosevelt tried to use as much power in the Oval Office as he could, because he was like, hey, I'm the executive. I should use it.
Mm.
Dude, this is why he'd be a great school counselor, okay? I have never been to school, but I imagine a school counselor has to occasionally smooth things over between students that are fighting, okay?
Mm-hmm.
President Roosevelt won the Nobel Peace Prize for mediating peace between Japan and Russia for the Japanese-Russia war,
Mm.
I think
I think it's because of his big stick.
he just had such an aura about him, dude. Like, I think when you're a school counselor, there's got to be this measure of, hey, I'm stronger than you students,
Mm.
And Roosevelt did that. He sent out his white fleet, all those ships, these battleships. He sent them across the world, just to show people, hey, we got the battleships. Like, he shocked Japan so much. Japan was like, you know what? Maybe we're behind on the times and we should update our island. Maybe we're not that great, And that's what a school counselor is supposed to do. School counselor is supposed to be like, I could beat you in an arm wrestling competition, kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. And
Mm.
Theodore Roosevelt, he always was focused on the strenuous life. He wanted you to be your best self, to not take the easy road. And so as a school counselor, he'd encourage kids to go outside, go to parks, maybe become a boxer. I think he'd do a great job.
Mm. I don't know. I mean, he's a powerful man.
Uh-huh. Who would be a better school counselor?
I definitely don't think it's Abraham Lincoln because of the whole, split thing. He's very
Yeah,
divisive. Um,
very.
you know what? I think it's actually going to be John F. Kennedy.
Really.
I do.
Everybody loved JFK.
Exactly. There were very few people that were outspoken opponents. He's also known as one of the most handsome presidents ever.
That could be a dangerous thing, though, being in a school.
Very true, very true. But it's that demeanor that he had, and that awesome accent of ask
Yeah.
not what your country can do for you, ask what you could do for your
God,
country. That
it's
whole
like I'm listening to
yeah,
him
I'm
right
listening
now.
because I'm my ears are just enveloped with his awesome accent. And he was president in one of very difficult times during the Cuban Missile Crisis, which obviously ended up not in his favor. But
Yeah.
there's just I don't know. I think he would be a good
And dude,
counselor.
like, he would be the kind of guy, he's like, hey, I got a new job in heaven, and
It
and
was an
like
unfortunate
everyone,
transfer.
it was an unfortunate transfer. I gotta go, and everybody would be sad that he's leaving the job. Like, all of the kids would be heartbroken.
I would say
You
the
know,
country would be almost at a standstill.
for at a standstill, and then like their kids would ask them, "Where were you when the school counselor left Benjamin Franklin High?" You know,
I promised myself not to make a JFK assassination joke, and here we
yeah,
are. I did.
you are in Texas, where it happened, so it is
Yep.
your people's fault.
I've actually been to that museum dedicated to the assassination of JFK, and it is a
As have
wild
I.
ride because there's one floor that is dedicated entirely to the many conspiracy theories,
Yeah,
and it's super cool.
it's really neat too. because you can like go to the room where Lee Harvey Oswald, did his thing or whatever.
Mhm.
It's preserved.
Well, he's not the one that
And
killed him, though.
look, man, we don't have time. We're not a conspiracy podcast. Let's
You're
just go
right.
with the easy one of, yeah, he did it, sure. But like, it was cool looking down and seeing that X and going, wow,
Mhm. Yep.
just years ago. Actually, yeah, a little over 50 years ago.
Yeah.
My mom was born the year he was assassinated.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I have just one more, and I think it'll be brief.
Sure.
And before I talk about this, I just want to kind of give a little bit of background. So,
Mhm.
so the the best president to do this is going to require a little bit of knowledge, and so the category is the best president to be an NBA player, a
Okay.
professional basketball player. And so some of y'all might think, oh, it's definitely Barack Obama, and y'all have got some issues y'all need to work through. Some of
Yeah.
y'all might think it's Abraham Lincoln because he's the tallest president, but the average NBA player is 6'5", and Abraham Lincoln was 6'4". So he's not
Okay.
even average height for NBA. But there is one president that stands out among the rest. Now,
Is it Theodore Roosevelt?
it is not, because according to
Oh,
WikiHow, in order to do a crossover, also known as an ankle breaker, it's a dribbling technique that you go between the legs, and it involves faking to one side and getting the defender to follow you before bouncing the ball back over to your other hand and going in that direction.
yeah, everyone knows that.
Yes. President George Washington crossed over the Delaware River.
Oh, you and your jokes.
He
Ridiculous.
he crossed a whole river. He was like, I'm gonna go this way, and then the river went there, and then he just completely broke its ankles, and Frank did a
Hey,
cool dunk on the
hey,
over the
folks.
Delaware River.
Hey, listeners. Insert your best groan here. Just the You know, this is where you do that. Look, we all know the answer is the president. We've actually seen footage playing basketball, which is Barack Obama. Okay, he knows how. He knows he's got game. All right,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not a
but
race thing, nothing like that. There's just video evidence that he knows how to land some three pointers and stuff. He can land the shots.
sure,
Okay.
but it wasn't until recently that the 3-point shooter was an actual threat in basketball. For many, many years, it was the players that could get down low and get to the basket and drive it in. That is what was power basketball for many decades. And George Washington
Yeah.
proved that you can cross over anything.
I mean, I just wish you'd focus on other stuff like how he was tough because he like fought in the Revolutionary War and like just carried the nation on his back for like the first few years of its existence. So
That and
um,
also everyone considered him to be the only person who would be the first president. They even wanted to make him king, which that I mean,
yeah,
LeBron
and we
James
have
is known as king. Oh my gosh, George Washington is
goodness.
the LeBron James of presidents.
He's the LeBron James of president. No, he's not. Uh, Theodore Roosevelt is the LeBron James of presidents.
Is it who's the best? Michael Jordan, LeBron James. Who's the best? George Washington, Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, George Washington. Okay, George Washington would be Michael Jordan. Um, Abraham Lincoln would be Kobe Bryant. We lost both way too soon.
Michael
Um,
Jordan is still alive.
Shaquille O'Neal would be Donald Trump.
Shaquille O'Neal is not Donald Trump.
No, they're both business minded. That's the only reason. Uh, those are the only famous presidents I know.
Oh gosh. Well,
Uh,
that these are our candidates. These are our, I guess you could say, candidates for ultimate president. for
Yeah.
whatever.
They're
But
just so cool.
yeah, just so many things to ponder over this coming President's Day. And so as we
Yeah.
begin to deepen our thoughts, let us go ahead and cue the music.
In the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that
Star-Spangled
star-spangled
banner
banner
yet
yet
wave
wave for
o'er the
the land
land of the free and
and the
the
home
home of
of the
the absurd
brave?
arguments, which you can email
Brave.
us at absurdargumentsforyou@gmail.com. That is absurd
Mm-hmm.
arguments, the number 4, the letter U at gmail.com, to tell us how bad your ears are bleeding because of our singing.
Yeah, or because you tried the Steve Reich music for mallet instruments, voices, and organ song challenge.
Mm. But another way to do it is you can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and let us know through those. Just search Absurd Arguments and you'll find us, because I named the podcast this because no one else in the world is named Absurd Arguments. So, boom.
That's true.
It's true. Well,
Matthew, how are you going to celebrate this coming President's Day?
this coming President's Day, I think I'm going to celebrate it by calling my mom, because it's also her birthday.
You know how I'm going to celebrate it?
How?
I think I'm going to write a fan fiction about Theodore Roosevelt and all the other cool presidents we talked about.
Well, folks, that's all the time we have for this week. I hope that it was just as enjoyable to y'all as it was to us. But
Yeah.
Nathan, do you have any parting words?
I could sing the Star Spangled Banner again.
I think we've done enough.
Maybe you're right. All right, see you later, folks.
Bye, everyone.